What's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So the Bulls will be taking on the Dallas Mavericks later this evening as they'll be back in Chicago. It's obviously going to be another tough game for the Bulls. However, Luka Doncic has been listed as questionable for tonight's game, at least at the time of this recording. And with Luka out, that does enable the Bulls, who have been struggling on defense, to not have to worry about yet another offensive threat in Doncic. But more on that in a little bit. What I wanted to talk about in today's video was, since we just entered into a new year, what I wanted to actually address was what we need to see from the Bulls for 2021 at large. A bit of a Bulls New Year's resolution, if you will. And I was actually inspired by this idea from an article Rob Schaefer, who's one of the reporters for NBC Sports Chicago, where he talks about the key resolutions the Bulls need to address or resolve. And I wanted to put my own keys and resolutions for the Bulls in 2021. So keep in mind, this is for all of 2021, so leading through summer free agency, the off season, and into the following regular season. And the first one is the Bulls have to find consistent play from both Coby White and Wendell Carter Jr. I've mentioned this before, but my biggest criticism of Coby White is nothing really against him specifically, but rather the hype Bulls fans were giving him because of how he closed out the season last year before it was suspended. I think what people forget is that Coby had games like that from time to time where he would have amazing scoring nights and was just, hitting threes nonstop. But they were always one-off games here and there, and even then my concern always was with his consistency and whether he could actually sustain that kind of play night in and night out. Now, I'm not saying he needs to be on all nights. Even guys like LeBron James and Giannis, they have off games here and there. I'm not trying to compare Coby to them, guys, don't get me wrong. We just need to see Coby playing at a high level consistently if he is going to be our point guard for the future. We've seen him have flashes of greatness both on scoring and even most recently with playmaking, but it doesn't mean much if we only see that from time to time. And the same goes for Wendell. The thing that upsets me most about Wendell is that we've seen him play incredibly well so far in his career. At times, I'm not saying all the time. Maybe not necessarily this season, especially with the exception of those two Wizards games, but he's a pretty gifted defender, and he actually can provide a good amount of scoring as well. Even in the game against the Warriors, he had 22 points on 8 for 9 shooting to go along with 13 rebounds. He has that capability of being a very productive big man. So with both Coby and Wendell, we know they have the ability to be great players. But the question is, can they sustain those high levels of play consistently? And that's what we need to see in 2021, because without that, a few good games here and there, a lot of basketball players have that. But to show that you are a formidable force to be reckoned with, a star, you have to play well every night. The second is ball movement. Sometimes I think this Bulls team, they got so used to the horrible system that Jim Boylan ran that they kind of forgot they're playing for a new coach. We've seen it quite a bit this season where the ball and player movement is stagnant and guys are setting up for isolation plays. That kind of basketball doesn't win games. Probably one of the best players of isolation basketball, James Harden, he has not been able to make it out of the West with that style of play despite his incredible talent. And Billy Donovan's system is all about ball and player movement offense. That's what he's known for in terms of what he did in OKC and in college at Florida. Now, we saw that with the game against the Wizards where they had excellent ball movement, they had 34 assists, the team moved well and played team basketball that resulted in a win. And the very following night, they had a negative assist to turnover ratio where they had 18 assists and 21 turnovers. The guys were standing around for most of the game, not setting up the offense and running plays, and that's something that has to be resolved going into this upcoming year. Again, just like the last resolution, we've seen the Bulls have the ability to do this, to move the ball effectively and facilitate scoring through passing, but we need to see it done consistently. Third resolution, focusing on Patrick Williams. After having an impressive NBA debut in which he notched 16 points, He's been a little on the quieter side more recently, which in a way is to be expected given he's a rookie and still learning the game at an NBA level. And I still see a lot of promise in this kid, but in 2021, Bulls have to make it a priority to focus on his development over everyone else. And I say that because I'll admit, I wasn't happy when the Bulls drafted him because I hadn't heard anything about this guy. But when I saw him playing in the short offseason leading up to the preseason, you can tell this kid has a lot of talent and can turn into something really special. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year or even 2 years from now, but if the front office focuses on continuing to give Patrick Williams every learning opportunity he can get, focusing on him and allocating time to him in practice or in the gym, it will pay off for the Bulls nicely in years to come. Now, add the coaching staff is already doing this. It's making him a starter in his rookie year, giving him the task to guard Giannis. They're definitely challenging him. I just want to ensure they continue to do that and don't lose focus on one of their best young assets. I mean, you took this guy at the number 4 overall pick. You might as well invest a lot of time and resources into him and not have it be a wasted pick. Fourth, the 2021 free agency. Now, the 2021 free agency class has dwindled quite a bit. What was once going to be one of the biggest free agency classes in years has now turned into basically Kawhi Leonard and some other peripheral stars. After Giannis, LeBron, Paul George, Anthony Davis, who was actually a free agent this past offseason, but obviously for Bulls, we were hoping he would have signed a 1-and-1 deal to be a free agent this upcoming offseason. And we all know what happened from there. Even guys like Rudy Gobert ended up extending their contracts, which I still can't believe the Jazz paid Gobert the Supermax. Just insane to me. A great player, don't get me wrong, but not worth the Supermax. But for the Bulls, they're going to have a ton of cap flexibility with the amount of players they'll have under a guaranteed contract going into next summer. Yet another reason why I think the front office ultimately didn't come to a deal with Lauri Markkanen on a contract extension to provide even more flexibility. But here's the thing. Unless the Bulls can somehow make a crazy push for the rest of the season and show they are indeed an up-and-coming team that has title potential in the near future, again, a big if, then they're not going to get Kawhi. Kawhi is going to want to go where he can see himself winning more titles and not a developing team. That being said, though, because the Bulls are going to have so much cap space, really enough to sign 2 max players, it doesn't mean they need to use all of that on 2 max players. Rather, they can bring in some solid names that can complement this roster even further to really get the Bulls back to winning again and putting the Bulls back on the map as a free agency destination going forward. I mean, there's still some decent guys on the 2021 free agency list. Not players worth the max, but guys like Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Drew Holiday, Victor Oladipo, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, Spencer Dinwiddie, Lonzo Ball, Goran Dragic. Again, none of these guys are worth a max contract, and I really hope the Bulls would never pay any of them that. And I'm not saying all of these guys would be a good fit with the Bulls, but if you can get a couple of these guys to piece alongside the Bulls' young core, I think you still go for it, even though it is disappointing that the big free agency class of 2021 hasn't been as big as it was initially supposed to be. The Bulls can't get themselves down on it because there are still a lot of players to go after. If anything, this allows them to be a bit more flexible with their spending, if they don't have to spend most of their cap space on just one max player. And yes, I'm ruling out Kawhi at this point because I just don't see that happening. Obviously, he is the number 1 choice among all of the free agents, and that would be the best choice for the Bulls, but my guess is he'll either re-sign with the Clippers or go to another contending team. And finally, yes, finally, in 2021, the Bulls need to close out the year with an above 500 record for the 2021-22 season. I'm not saying this season, although I would love it if the Bulls finished with an above 500 record. I'm not saying they can't do it, but as of right now, from what I'm seeing, I'm not sure the guys will actually finish with a winning record at this season. But for next season, I'm not even saying for the whole year, just by the end of December 31st, 2021, the Bulls will have a better record than 500. And I don't really think that's too much to ask. Ever since the Bulls traded Jimmy Butler, they have yet to have an above 500 record at any point since then, even to start off the season at 1-0. And it's been a while now, and we knew that once Butler was traded that the team was going into a rebuild. But there also comes a time where we start to see a rebuild actually bear fruit, after a while. And if we don't see the Bulls having a winning record this season, then they better have something to show for next season, and at least having a winning record by the end of the calendar year, with the further development of the young core, potential free agency acquisitions, and maybe even some quality trades. Anyway, those are my 5 New Year's resolutions, or things I need to see from the Bulls in 2021. Let me know what you guys think, though. What are your New Year's resolutions for the Bulls? Was there anything that I missed? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I post daily Bulls content, and I will catch you guys in the next one.